now targeting the
I'm
palace.
dying. Help me.
Use it against them. Jedi.
Hello there.
What the fuck? What the fuck was that?
How's it going, guys? AnAngryWookie here, and today we're going over my Count Dooku card setup for each game mode. So this is going to be a new series that I hope you guys will enjoy. This is going to be my personal opinion on what cards each hero should have for each game mode. And we're starting off with Dooku because I feel like he's quite underrated and unused in a lot of game modes, and not a lot of people know how to use him as well, and I think he's really well when he's utilised properly. So today we're going to be going over the card setup for my personal Dooku. So my Dooku is level 112, so I thought I'd share my experience using all his cards that I have used and which ones work best on each game mode. So, just to go over Dooku's abilities for anyone who's new to Dooku or has never played Star Wars Battlefront 2 before, his Q ability is a lightning stun. Now, Count Dooku releases lightning upon his enemies, throwing them to the ground and inflicting harm. This ability does higher damage the less target it hits. His middle ability, Duelist, Count Dooku changes to a more offensive lightsaber style, performing faster and more powerful attacks, and his exposed weakness ability, Count Dooku influences his target with slow movement, and an increased amount of damage is taken from Dooku and his allies, while removing any extra health. If he sees to eliminate the target himself personally, this ability is recharged. So to start off on Galactic Assault, which is the game that I play the most, the card setup that would run for this, it does depend on the map, but you definitely want Sith Control. Now, Sith Control gives Count Dooku maximum health increase on his regeneration. So when the card's maxed, it will regenerate 120 extra health, and this card is very beneficial for his survivability. It makes him a lot harder to kill, and it means when you go into tough engagements and you get a lot of that health chipped off, you can actually regen it back from base health, and I think this is a very useful card to have as a whole. So the second card that I would use for Galactic Assault would probably be Last Seconds. This reduces his lightning stun recharge rate by 4 seconds. So you should be using this card probably about every 10 seconds to get the ability back with this card maxed, and it's definitely a worthy ability. I think this is probably his second best ability. His best is obviously Duelist, but this ability, you can one-shot troopers like Assault, Specialist and Officer, and it does stun heroes, which is very good for a follow-up lightsaber attack or an exposed weakness. It's very good to use this card, and I would recommend it to anyone who's trying to play Galactic Assault. And the final card I would use for Galactic Assault would be Balanced Duelist, and this is the best card in my opinion for Dooku. This is the card that I would use on every game mode, but specifically Galactic Assault, it does make him one-shot troopers, apart from heavy I believe, unless they're low. It one-shots troopers from a standstill. You will be one-shotting troopers anyway without this card if you hit him from behind, because his lightsaber damage is fairly good. But this Duelist card makes him pretty much overpowered when it comes to dealing damage, especially if you know how to parry heroes. So I would use this on Galactic Assault a lot because it means his Duelist ability does recharge a lot quicker, so you will be getting a lot more kills a lot quicker and dealing a lot of damage to heroes if they're not blocking your attacks correctly. So moving on to my Heroes vs Villains card setup for Dooku, I would use Sith Control, which gives him more health regeneration. Obviously this is a must when using Dooku for every game mode, like I mentioned. Another card that I would use, especially on Heroes vs Villains, would be Masterful Duelist. Now, Count Dooku deals even more damage while Duelist is active. When this card is fully maxed, he will deal an extra 20 damage as additional on top of the increased damage he already does with Duelist activated. This makes him basically a damage god. He can 4-shot heroes if they're not blocking correctly, if you know how to parry. This, when Duelist is active, especially with the reduced cooldown for Duelist, it makes him very good and a force to be reckoned with on Heroes vs Villains. I have topped the leaderboards numerous times using this card setup. And the last one I would use on Heroes vs Villains is obviously Balanced Duelist. It's a very good card, like I mentioned before. Now for Hero Showdown, I would probably use the same card setup that I would for Heroes vs Villains. If you wanted to switch things up a bit, you can use Finesse, which gives him more stamina when attacking and blocking. This card is very good. I would recommend it for Galactic Assault in replacement for the last seconds, the faster recharge rate of a stun. But it's really optional, these two cards. It's up to you whether you like his landing attack or you prefer to block and use his main lightsaber attack and defense. As far the other cards go for Dooku, I wouldn't personally use any of them. Blind Spot, the lightning stun has an increased area of effect. It's probably not useful at all because it doesn't push it out, it only increases the angle. It's a bit of a useless card to me. I've never really used it. I've tried it out a few times on Heroes vs Villains and it's not that beneficial. I prefer to use the faster recharge rate, it's a lot better. And Superiority, Exposed Weakness is active on enemy target for a longer time. Again, this is a card that I wouldn't really recommend using. It's only 2 seconds increased duration when the card's fully maxed. You know, if you've got no other cards to use for Dooku, then sure, you know, pop it on, it might be worthy, you might get a kill or two, but as a whole, I won't be using Exposed Weakness very much. It's okay. I only use it on Heroes, so even on Heroes vs Villains I don't think it's a very good card. I'd much prefer to have his Duelist cards activated. Initiative, every 15 seconds, Count Dooku's basic attack will be a critical strike, dealing extra damage. This cooldown is reduced by 1 second for every successful lightsaber attack. This is a card, it's hit or miss. I've only used it once. I feel like it's okay. It's definitely, if you're trying to have fun with Dooku, it is worthwhile using, but if you're trying to get those kills and level him up, I would much prefer to go for the higher up cards that do his duelist damage and duelist recharge time. So that was the end of my personal Count Dooku card showcase. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you got any suggestions what heroes or villains I should do in the future, and you want to see my personal card setup for each one, then do leave it in the comment section. I'd love to hear feedback on this video, and as well what you think about this new series that I'm doing, whether you enjoy it or not, or you want me to change it up a bit, or what you feel like could be added to the video. Every comment is really appreciated, guys, and thank you for the support, and we're almost at 500 subs as well, so thank you guys for that. Peace out.